Hey everyone, thanks for coming to watch Drunk Weekends. Alright, so I got to my left is Dean, and we also got Tony right straight ahead of me.
Hello, good evening.
Alright, so I want to just straight jump into it. So our first topic is Family Guy and American Dad, alright? Well, this is just the first one. It'll be quick. But with American Dad and Family Guy, do you feel like eventually during Family Guy, it slowly was given to like someone else, not really like Seth, with Seth MacFarlane? Do you think he took it like? Do you think he kind of stepped away from Family Guy just to do American Dad? Because it felt like it kind of felt like Family Guy went down and then American Dad just popped all of a sudden, and it was fucking amazing. You just feel like Seth.
Well, it's actually the other way around. He
think?
didn't because he admitted he spent more time on Family Guy than American Dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was.
But
then somebody left.
But right
and
now
then
he's still doing it, right?
He's still doing the voices and stuff like that. Yeah, he does the voices. I don't know who's actually doing the writing because he has a staff of writers. So,
but he's there at all the meetings though.
No, of course.
Because what I heard for Family Guy, what he does with the cutscenes is he'll set up like the scene what's going on, and then it'll be like whose line is it? Whose line is it anyway?
Yeah,
they do improvise, and they'll shoot him ideas, and whichever one he likes, they'll add to it, and then that becomes a flashback.
Huh. See, and I don't know. I just felt like there was a part when like I was watching Family Guy, there was just certain episodes that slowly just was like, man. It's like I don't know if I was as happy. But then when like I found like American Dad, it was so at the beginning. I remember the first season, like the drawings weren't even that good. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. The first couple seasons, but I think what made American Dad stand out was.
So do you think
when they built that character Roger Moore? Remember the first couple of seasons? He was just that alien that lived in their house. He kind of just played second fiddle to everybody else. It wasn't until they allowed him to wear a costume and step out and be different persons every single episode that it completely turned that around.
Down. They were just like, you can't go out. So like he couldn't really do anything. He was kind of just like a quick thing for the episode, and then like. Slowly, they just fucking released this guy to the world, and it was fucking amazing. Like, I love me some Stewie and all, but like, dude, Roger, my favorite character. The guy is he's hilarious.
But leave it to like
Stewie's good too.
Like animation and comedies to make fun of a disorder, with like people who have like multiple personality disorder.
Yeah.
Where they think there's someone else, or
it is.
What's that? Well, either way, it's a disorder.
Yeah.
But as long as you can make the character funny and all that, and you can just like
keep it going,
it becomes comical.
Yeah, it's kind of just like it's just like family, like American Dad's family. They kind of just we can just kind of work around Roger, and then like Roger can have any story. Like we can just make a story, and we can place Roger in some fucking awkward, weird position that's gonna be hilarious.
So basically, it's a two-story. A story within a story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what? There's an episode on American Dad where they say that. I think it's Steve says it. He's like, it's a story within a story. And he like looks at the camera or something like that. Just like they're teaching us and shit. But like, yeah, it's like there's an episode where someone's telling a story where like it's Klaus. He's a grandparent, and he's explaining how the story works.
Yeah.
He sits there and he's like telling this kid, he's like, and then like the kid like would ask him questions about it, and he would kind of explain it. I just thought it was so cool how they kind of developed.
That's a parody on what is that? The Princess Bride.
Which one?
That parody of like someone
telling a story, or
like where the kid's in bed or something like that. I can't remember. That's a parody on something. Yeah. I don't know. If we're gonna say something about Family Guy, who do you like better, old Stewie or new Stewie? Like revenge, trying to kill his mom, or do you prefer the newer Because I prefer the newer Stewie. I didn't like the old Stewie. I thought it was.
It's kind of weird. Right?
Yeah, because he's just like, I'm gonna kill my mother. But when he turned into what I like to call the gay Stewie,
he's so.
It was just like it was so much better. It was just like he was so much better character. He evolved.
Amazing. I loved him. He was so cool. But like Roger, man, that guy's just everywhere. But I don't know. I guess I can't put him in the. So, do you feel like they both came out around the same time?
I think Family Guy
came first.
Family Guy came first. It was 99, I think, after the Super Bowl.
That was going for a while, huh?
Well, and then it got canceled.
Did it go one season or two seasons before it got canceled?
I think 1 or 2 seasons. It got canceled by Fox. Then, it might have gone a little bit longer. Either way, it got canceled. Cartoon Network started showing it on Adult Swim. And then the DVD sales were off the chart, and Fox is like, whoa, wait a minute. Come back.
Yeah.
And then they brought it back, and then because they realized that they made a mistake. Kind of like they did with Futurama, but
Futurama did.
I love Futurama.
How many seasons was there? It was quite a
while.
And then,
I don't remember. I've seen them all though.
Comedy Central.
That was all on Comedy Central, right?
Well, it was Fox, and then Fox canceled it and it moved to Comedy Central.
And I was going to say they grew there though on Comedy Central. Right?
I was going to say shout out to the only animation thing that got it right for like people like us right now would be Adult Swim.
Adult Swim got a lot of them.
I
watched a lot of Adult Swim.
Yeah.
Actually, they had American Dad and stuff on there too.
No, they still do, I think.
Right? They still do, right?
They still do American. I like TBS because they would do like American Dad like in the afternoons, and then because remember American Dad left Fox, it's now a TBS show.
Oh yeah, they air new ones now.
Yeah, they air new ones.
American Dad.
Yeah, new because you go to the TBS app and just watch the new episode.
So but it doesn't air on Fox though, right?
No, it does not air on Fox.
So, but is it on Hulu? Do you guys know if it's on Hulu? It's not.
I don't think it's anymore.
Oh, okay, but it was. All the seasons were, right?
Yeah.
I think that's like right before we watched it. So
because Hulu's owned by NBC, ABC, and Fox, and now that they've gone to TBS and Turner has nothing. Or I should say anything in the Time Warner category wouldn't have anything to do with that.
I don't know, man, but
I think I love both. I think because there's some episodes of American Dad where I'm like, I don't know, I don't know where you're going with this, but I don't like it. Yeah,
there's sometimes,
but there's some Family Guy episodes too where I'm like, that was weak. Like it was a really weak. Like I thought the Simpsons Family Guy crossover was one of the worst episode I've ever seen.
It was bad.
I just thought that they were reaching for something that the fans wanted, but they never actually got to where it needed to go.
But then South Park kind of trolled both of it, trolled the Family Guy and the Simpsons.
Yeah, but I think South Park now is just. They should just stop.
They've been there for a while too.
They haven't, but they were funny in the beginning, and now they're just.
I haven't said.
I think you don't like it because what they do is they'll take the most dumbest headline of what's going on during our time, like with what's his name? He used to have Mr.
I don't know.
I haven't watched.
See, I'm trying, but I tried. It's still a good fucking point. God damn it. Okay,
what is it on though?
It's on Comedy Central.
It was on Comedy Central.
No, because I remember watching it.
But it's still getting Emmy nominations.
That's a long.
Mr. Garrison. Okay. Mr. Garrison is a teacher, and then he's a famous guy that he's like a lesbian, but he's gay. Some sexual, but whatever. The point is, last season. He came out to run as the Donald Trump character. They were mocking Donald Trump with him, and then he actually won.
Huh.
So God, I'm too high.
No,
Jesus Christ.
but no, I remember watching the early '90s, and I thought that was because the Simpsons weren't going that way. Where the South Park was getting really raunchy, but then when Family Guy came out, it's like. Well, South Park is pointless now. Family Guy is way better writing.
I just kind of feel like
it's funnier.
Well, the thing, now that South Park is more of a satire on what's going on.
No, exactly.
They had an episode where they were talking about memes, when people were doing planking, and then how stupid memes were getting.
Yeah,
and there was one where you stand in front of a train, don't move, and the train
they go over the extreme. It's actually just
just a satire on modern.
What's going on?
Currently
going on. I get that. Sometimes it's cool, but I just feel like sometimes they go a little.
Like I said, I stopped watching because I just thought it
because they did the what was it like the Fudge Packer, and then they also got in with what was it they talked about what is it? It's like a religion for
Scientology.
Right? They had a big old thing
because when they thought that Stan was the new L. Ron Hubbard.
Okay.
And then he said that Tom Cruise needs to come out of he said Tom Cruise was an okay actor.
Okay.
And then Tom Cruise goes in the closet. And the whole thing is they're trying to get Tom Cruise to come out of the closet.
Yeah, okay.
Because they think Tom Cruise is gay, that this is all just set up to him from Scientology.
The way I see it is...
I don't know. See, which is cool. That is pretty cool, kind of like a cool thing that they do. I just feel like sometimes, like I say, it's just almost a little over the top. Kind of I can't. I can't watch that with like everyone around and stuff. You get some food or what?
Yeah, dude, I'm sorry, dude.
You eat your Starburst?
They the way I see it is Family Guy, American Dad, and to some extent maybe The Simpsons.
I don't know. I just feel like Seth MacFarlane.
That's the WWE. South Park is like ECW, just way over the top. Remember ECW was like, they had barbed wire matches, people were on fire, like, yes, was it still wrestling, but it was just too over the top. It was
scary.
It was like, and there's people that like that kind of wrestling.
No, there's some people that do.
But to me that was just like, no, that's just way too over the top. Let's just stick to what everybody else is doing and just leave it at that. So
that's true.
But like I said, I watched South Park in the beginning, and I saw quite a few episodes because we had DirecTV. But then it just seemed like, I just felt like, I don't like it anymore.
And I think that's where I watched it was Jackpot, and then I hadn't watched it ever since I moved up down here. But like from what I watched it, like that's exactly what I saw was the whole like the whole satire and stuff like that. Just what's like relevant news and stuff like that, which they ran with a lot, which was cool. Like it's cool way to say.
Like because like in this last season, their principal, his name is PC Principal.
Yeah.
So they have to be PC about everything, and they're showing how social justice warriors are becoming very physical in like their belief, like they'll push it on you, like no, you got to be PC.
Like they work with really relevant issues that are happening like right now. And like don't get me wrong, Family Guy does too, American Dad does too. They drop that every now and then, but sometimes they're just telling a story, and you're just kind of sitting there watching. Not a whole relevancy.
And some people are probably get mad for this comment, but I think The Simpsons are done.
Oh yeah,
I haven't watched The Simpsons in years because to me, they were funny at one point, and now it's just you're just beating a dead horse at this point.
Just put him. They were riding. They rode it, man.
Yeah,
they rode the train, didn't they?
They should have done what Seinfeld does. When Seinfeld went off the air, they were at the highest ratings ever because they felt this is the time to quit. Don't quit when we're like so low in the tank.
You know what's crazy though? Which is I don't know, just kind of at random, maybe it's coincidence, but I saw on Netflix there's a show that was from the creators of The Simpsons. Have you seen it?
No, but I heard it's really good.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people say it's really good.
Like, what if they're just
because it can be a little more racier than what Fox would probably allow. Yeah,
Netflix, right? Oh man, that's.
I thought about getting into it. I think because people at work can be like, "Hey, have you checked that out?" I'm like, "I'm gonna check."
No, but I was gonna say, doesn't that? Because we were talking about with like Seth MacFarlane. No, he does. He spends equal time on both of his shows, right?
I would assume so. Yeah.
So maybe
doing a lot of the voices.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe Matt Groening, the dude with the creator, maybe he leaves most of the writing out to the writers, and he focuses more. I mean, his name is still attached to it.
Yeah.
Because he's a creator. Yeah. I don't know. There was a point. Now I'd have to pull up the article, but there's an article that someone that wrote that actually says there's an episode where you could tell The Simpsons was no longer funny. And when you watch everything after that episode in that season...
They have the outline, huh?
Yeah, where you could say, at this point, The Simpsons no longer was funny anymore.
Do you think, like, the creators, they were just not even a part of it anymore? You think it was just so...
And that can happen sometimes, but, a lot of people say The Walking Dead because completely gone from where the book actually went, and, they never followed, and the original creators are long gone, but... I don't know. I don't watch the show, but I would assume Matt Groening would have some say into what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't think he's kind of like just gotten completely away from it. And now he's looking at it going like, well, they really fucked that up.
I don't know. Well, yeah, Simpsons, it's been going for a really long time.
It came out in the Tracy Ullman show in like 89?
It's like, how do you...
It's like, so that's like one of the originals.
How do you, you don't tell an aging sports legend to retire, though. They got to do it when they feel... they're going to do it.
Yeah, it's almost the same thing. It's kind of crazy.
Even though you can say, "Oh, this has been bad," as long as they think they're putting their best work, they're going to keep going.
And if the ratings are still there, just because I'm not watching doesn't mean that millions of other people are. Which means my point's kind of invalid. Well, they should quit, and it's like, well, there's still billions of people watching us. Guess what? We're not quitting. Okay.
Yeah, and what's so crazy about it is like so Kobe made a lot of money on his last trail, right? It had to have been, right? Because he was like, this is my last trail. And, people went and bought those tickets, right? So, they probably made bank on that. But it was his last one, right? So, do you think that he took too long, or do you think he had more years in
I think. Well, he went out on top.
Yeah,
His
right.
last game, didn't he score like 60 plus points?
He went out in the last game. That was crazy. And
But I think there's athletes, actors, anybody that know. They either know it, I think Brett Favre could never figure it out. Like, I'm going to retire, but he's like, well, I really still want to play football. And then it's like he kept hopping around to like the Vikings, and he played for the Jets for a minute or something. And it's just like, just retire, dude. Like, you're old. Just get over it.
It's tough, man. That's hard work.
But then there's some people that can be like, I'm done.
Yeah, I know.
I'm done. I've had a great career. I'm done. I'm just going to live my life now.
Well, Payne, no. Yeah, look at Payne. Payne's a perfect example, man. He got traded because they thought he was too old. He kept playing, and then he won a Super Bowl, and then he was out.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the way to go, right?
He won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, so he has 2 Super Bowls now. But like that's how he ended his career, right? It was just, I won a Super Bowl.
And I remember that game, too, because...
Dude, that was insane, dude.
They were... well, no, but when he went with Indy.
When Indianapolis, that was crazy.
Because, fuck, dude, I'm a fucking huge Chicago Bears fan. And the opening kickoff was returned for a touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
It was returned all the way back. And we ended up...
Who was the runner?
Devin Hester.
Devin Hester was like one of the fastest players in the NFL,
he returned
right?
it, and usually by like any prediction says that the team that scores first is going to win.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, dude, we're going to win.
You had it. Dude, but it's those bets. It's probably one of those bets, It's just like, if whoever scores first is going to win. Like, how much money?
Well, we went up against Payne, dude. God damn.
Payne, man.
And that was the Bears year, too, because that's when they came back and they beat the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, yeah.
And Denny Green was like, the Bears are who we thought they were. We just let them off the hook.
It was crazy, man. It was crazy. But with the Broncos, man. Who did they play when he won it with the Broncos?
Who did they beat? They beat they beat Carolina.
The Carolina Panthers, right? Oh yeah. Carolina went there a few years too, right? They went. Dude, he went to 2 Super Bowls, right? What's his name? Cam Newton?
No, I think just one.
Just one? Oh shoot, that's it. No, that's too bad. I don't know, but yeah, you can like I said, you can always keep it. Or you said with the actors, will think the same way. Like, do you think like with actors it's like more with age, or do you think that people can just act the whole career?
Even though you could be Betty White, who's like in her 90s and been acting since she's been in her 20s.
Dude, that's
because she's on
hard work, dedication right there.
It's just one of those where
maybe she just liked it though.
Maybe
she was just in love with it, man.
And I think everybody loves Betty White. So even if because Betty White's been on Family Guy. I mean, she did the voice. I think at one point it's just like some actors you're like, all right, dude, like you're done, like. But it's because they're on Sci-Fi Channel making some terrible movie, or they're making these. Where I think Betty White, like, hey, I did Hot in Cleveland. That show was amazing. She was on the Golden Girls, which was really good, and she did. But I think she also knows like that she's getting older. How many things you see Betty White in now? Not a lot, but
she's not in anything. Not really, right? But
I'm pretty sure in a heartbeat, if work came along and someone wanted her, she'd easily get back into it and be okay with it.
No, but she's so old.
She is, but
she's made her stamp in the world, man. She's gonna be remembered forever.
Well, no, yeah, when you're in your 90s, like
yeah, dude. I don't know, because you feel like there's some characters out there that just like it's tough, man. Like age and stuff with acting, I just can't. I can't think like that. People just have to do that, and it's to get a certain age, and they just lose out or whatever.
Oh, with actors?
Yeah, dude. It's kind of crazy.
Well, I think if you're already...
but it comes more often with sports.
Your shades on, dog?
I know.
Lights too damn bright, huh?
Yeah.
What you got? Oh, you got chick.
Yeah, dude. That's
chick check, man.
I felt...
I had AS. It was really good.
It's really... Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
I was going to say with actors, I think a lot of them can continue... Not a lot of them. The really good ones can continue till they're old. Like De Niro.
Oh yeah, dude. Some of those, man.
Pacino. Usually the really, really good actors. Like Leo would probably... He can act until...
Dude, that guy's gonna go. Yeah, you can tell.
But there's some who, like, after a while, like, said, okay, But then again, that's what everyone thought about Sylvester Stallone. And then he came out with Creed.
Oh,
and then got it up. Did he win an Oscar?
Michael
Jordan has won an Oscar. He was nominated, though.
Oh,
But
yeah?
Stallone won the.
I haven't got to watch the movie, dude. I haven't got to watch it.
goddamn!
I do want to watch it, but...
Well, anyways, what I'm trying to say is like they ridiculed him when he made like the last couple Rockies, and then, but he came back with this one, and they said this one was just as good as the first Rocky.
Okay. Dang.
But that can happen. When some actors will make good movies, and then it'll be in a bunch of terrible movies, and then you're kind of like, well, this guy's done, and then something comes along where that puts him back on top, and you're like, wow, this.
I don't know. Do you think that's hard? Like just doing that all the time, just like going shoot to shoot and like working like all day and stuff like that. Obviously, like they get paid well, but like say with Game of Thrones, right? Game of Thrones, all those actors like they go all around the world, right? To shoot.
Correct. Yeah, and cold conditions.
Yeah, and cold conditions and stuff like that. Do you think it's tough work, man?
Oh, I would assume so. Can you imagine a take doesn't go well, so you got to redo that take?
Ooh, yeah.
And then you get somewhere it's like a battle scene where there's maybe 100, 150 actors, and they all have to get back to where they were at to start that whole scene over again.
Especially like those war scenes and stuff like that they have on Game of Thrones, like with the dragons and stuff. Like this last one, like just came out was when they fought the.
Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't talk about it. Oh, it's good.
Hey, if you haven't watched it yet, that's your fault. Go ahead.
Exactly. How long has it been out? We've been all waiting for the next fucking season to come out or whatever. But like with the Lannisters, right? With the Lannister army and stuff like that. Or I mean, I guess that was just King's Landing's army, right? It was just the.
Well, yeah, it was pretty much.
But it was more like the Lannister army, right?
Yeah. Well, it gets really condensed for the show.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot.
Because in the books, it'll be.
A lot more.
There's more than one noble family,
and
then they have their houses and their soldiers, so it's like a mix. Like the Lannister army would really be the Westerland army, because you have Lannisport and what else is in the West? Oh, where Clegane comes from. Clegane's Keep.
What is it? What is their sigil? A hound, right? Or
3 hounds, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, but right now on the show, the actual show.
Oh yeah. So right now it's just considered the Lannister army, but
right, it was just considered in like that. But that battle scene that they had, like, can you imagine how long that shit took to shoot?
Correct. Yeah.
There's so much stuff going.
They lit the most people on fire ever for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it was crazy, man. I'm sure it's pretty controlled though. You guys feel
no, of course, and then
Dude,
I think
it's fucking insane.
Some like the Dothraki army, I think some of them were CGI.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, I think at one point, because
a lot of stuff you can tell. You can tell.
Were you going to get like 2,000 actors that come riding in on
big
horses?
Armies and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
it's a tough thing to shoot, but I mean, they've done an okay job.
No, they've done a great job.
A lot of the stuff in it, you don't think is CGI is pretty CGI, which. Like,
they do a good job of covering it up.
Yeah, like on YouTube, they did like the behind the scenes of how they shoot it, and I'm just like, I had no idea. Like, there's some things just like I had no idea that was like
when they do the dragon, and it's just like a blue thing on a stick, and then he has to go up and like. But when you look at it in the movie, in the show, you're like, wow, that like he does it. He acts so well that it just looks like that's exactly what he's doing.
Do you think it'll ever get better, or do you think this is like right at the reign of how good fucking CGI can be right now?
It can get better. I think CGI has to be used sparingly, though. I think too much CGI.
I feel like with
practical effects can still be used if you can get into it.
Yeah.
But there's a point where it's just like use CGI if like let's say it has to be a huge explosion. You can't really blow something that big up.
Yeah.
Yeah, CGI is perfect for that because you can destroy it over and over again, and you'd be okay.
Do you think it would take more? It takes more talent to come up with practical. Like special effects,
yeah, because you need more people to build it.
But you're also going on the illusion, like we're trying to make this happen, and with CGI you can just put it in code and.
Now you could use bigatures, which is like a little bit bigger than a miniature. You could blow those up, but again, that requires someone to build it, someone to set it up. With CGI, just programming.
See, it's literally just guy behind the computer just sitting there. I mean, I'm sure he's got a big computer.
And it could be multiple people.
He's doing this all day. Essentially, he's just trying to get just right. I mean, I get there's artistry and like tracing and drawing and stuff like that, but like, I mean, I feel like it's just props and stuff like that. Just bring it to life. Man.
Yeah, because I mean, think about what the first person to come up with stop motion animation had to think. Okay, like film this, stop. move it,
right?
film,
That's crazy
stop,
stuff.
and then when you play it together, it's moving.
Yeah.
And that takes
It's stop
your
motion.
brain. Well, I mean, it takes your brain to think. You know,
Man, that's
dude. Almost it's just.
and then did that take more talent than someone putting a code in a computer?
No, it depends on how you look at it, because it takes a lot of schooling to learn code.
Yeah, it does. But
It's good work though. I mean, that's why I feel like a good in between. It just makes it amazing. And I feel like the best example is the Dark Knight series. Man, I just feel like the Dark Knight series just did it perfectly. Like there was enough just props and stuff like that, but obviously there's stuff that's got to be CGI'd in.
Yeah, that's I said. It should be a pretty good assortment of both. If you can do practical, then do practical. If it makes sense, but if you have to go to CGI, then go to CGI.
Man, just do it. Yeah, I don't know, but the Dark Knight was just so good, man. Did you watch Dark Knight, Tony? Did you at least watch that one? Oh man, you watch Dark Knight, right?
Oh, yeah. All Batman Begins, The Dark Knight.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta play that game. I actually got the game in my upstairs, but I haven't played it. I don't know.
The Dark Knight's probably the greatest superhero movie. Well, I wouldn't even say superhero because
it was just really well written. I feel like it was just really good. But let's jump into our first topic. I don't even know.
Or a second one, because Family Guy was our first.
Oh well, yeah. I guess it just got thrown in. Well, we got thrown into that one. That one was a lot. That kind of went off the rails for a bit there. But the topic we wanted to talk about today, and I just feel like I don't know if you have any, but we have a couple weird ones that they say Mexican mom myths, right? Essentially Mexican mom myths. So like a myth that your Mexican mom would tell you whenever you would I guess do something. I guess she's trying to explain something to you. So one that I remember my mom used to always say was like, if you go outside at night, don't throw the trash at night, or the owls are gonna poke your eyes out. And like I never understood where it came from, and I don't think I ever will. But essentially, it's just saying like, if you go out there, man, those owls will poke your eyes out. Okay, I'm not gonna go out there at night, man.
And maybe it's like stuff like that. Maybe something happened to somebody a long, long time ago when they went out at night.
Owl or something?
No, I'm saying something maybe got hurt.
No, yeah, something.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, to keep that from happening, don't go outside at night because whatever it is that caused him is gonna. And it probably,
and
maybe
it kind of just evolved from there.
Yeah,
like a lot of owls. Or something like that.
And it's just like when owl got him,
that owl's gonna get you.
Yeah, like don't go.
Fucking little kids just googling how big an owl is and find the big ones. Like, oh, that's the one.
Yeah,
he fucking tried to poke my eyes out.
Luis told me one day your mom said is that you couldn't step over babies because it stunts their growth.
That one was a trip. I don't understand where that is. Like, how do you explain that one? That one's like, because it stunt the growth, right?
Yeah.
You stunt the growth, you try to step over a child or someone. So if the child's on the floor, you can't step over them. I mean, I kind of get it. It's for safety. So
no, of course.
First off, you probably shouldn't be stepping over a child. Anyone listen to this, don't step over a baby infant. You can fall and it can get really bad. But like, so that's the main preface of that one, right? But then like, stunting the growth. Where do you think that came from? You think maybe injury? Maybe like there's been injury from people stepping over that caused people to...
Yeah, maybe it broke the baby's legs and never healed right, and they never grew the way they were supposed to.
Dude, fuck. These are pretty deep.
Because remember, there was a point in time...
There's a lesson behind them, I guess. So.
There's a point in time in human history where some stuff couldn't be explained because people hadn't figured it out yet. So what if a kid's born and you don't know it's going to be a dwarf? Yeah. And then at some point, or a little person, I should say, and they... maybe a myth came from that, like, oh, you stepped over and now, and then the baby didn't grow. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they all have a basis. It's not like your mom was just in the kitchen one day and just making up, like, no, she heard it from somebody who heard it from somebody who heard it from somebody.
And it just,
it
could gone for years.
But someone originally came out and said, hey, don't do that because this is why. You have any, Dean?
Do you have anything that you've ever...
No.
No, they never came up with anything crazy like that? I always thought that was just kind of a side thing. I always wanted to know, like, how did these things come up? Because some of them are just crazy. Like those are just crazy to think about.
Not one that's like,
one was.
It's not like I don't know if it's a myth or anything, but I guess you can't take toddlers to, or infants or toddlers up to like 2 years old to like funerals because they can hear the person in the casket crying. Or you can't take them to or if you do have to take them, you have to put like pieces of willow branch in their ears. I don't know. That just
Well, if you delve into that one right there, you can kind of think like, well, they always, because what do you guys think of as like at a funeral, you want it to be peaceful, you want it to be quiet, you want it to be silent, you want it to be comforting, right? But like babies, they're babies. You know, it's a little harder to be able to control babies whether or not to cry, right? So like it can always interrupt that kind of silence, or because I'm sure it's all over the world. They kind of have. Most of it's kind of built more like silence, or you guys think like silence at a funeral and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that they were like, well, the best way to combat not having babies in there and crying, we'll just say that the reason why they're crying, there's ghosts in the room that's like in their ears, and you say put that stuff, the willow stuff in their ears. Essentially, is just like if you keep it quiet, or if the babies can't hear, then obviously they're not gonna go crazy or something.
Yeah, because the baby's not aware of death.
Nah, yeah.
Because I think humans are the only animals that are aware of death.
That's a strange thing.
I don't think
strange thing to think.
there's that, like, an animal just is born and then one day that animal's life is over. But between that whole time, that animal does not know.
They just live on instinct, right?
Yeah, they just live. They don't know because time's irrelevant to them.
So you pretty much say they're living on every gut feeling they have.
Yeah, of course, because time's irrelevant. Now, can you train animals? Yes. I think Louise is trained well enough to know when he says it's time to go to bed, she will go to bed because she's been trained because she's domesticated. But
she's domesticated kitty.
But there's, like, if we were just going to take an animal in the wild, that animal doesn't, now through instinct, like, speaking of owls, they hunt at night.
Yeah.
But that's an instinct that they have. That's how.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, they just, yeah. Hey,
that's just what they're programmed.
That's just what they're programmed to do. But to them, they don't know that night means 3 in the morning, doesn't mean 4 in the morning. They just know when the sun goes down, which they don't even know what the sun is. They just know when it gets dark, that's when we hunt. And then when the sun comes up, we stop hunting.
You know what's funny is like, it's like the reason why they adapted that way is because like the other things that the prey, essentially like mice and stuff, like feel like when it's nighttime, I have my way to maneuver. Because you can't be seen more, but like then these birds, their eyes develop to be able to look at in the dark, so they can catch their.
They can turn their heads almost completely around.
It's always a chase, you know, prey versus like a predator.
It's like that old saying.
But we don't got.
If you build a better mousetrap, eventually a better mouse will come along, and your mousetrap's useless.
Yeah.
Because something. But yeah, no, I just think. I know it's weird because we kind of went off topic, but. I think the baby's not aware of that. It's just like we teach that baby to be aware that it will die.
Yeah.
But can you imagine if you were a family and you just never taught your kid about death? Let's say there was an instance where you could live in the woods and they never had outside contact.
Okay.
You could literally teach that kid that there's no such thing as death. And that kid would grow up the whole time and it would never realize that eventually it could die.
I don't know. I don't know.
Because an animal could die tomorrow if it happens to be pretty low on the food chain.
I think a lot of that comes with like how long the lifespan is, and like I feel like if you gave like an ape the age life of ours, like which some of them do, right? They grow up pretty old.
Yeah, some of them can get pretty old. Yeah.
Like they I feel like they start learning about it. Like you can tell. Like I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
I feel like it's because we live so long. Maybe I'm stretching here, but I feel like if we live so long, like it gives us more time to develop thought and develop eventually the thought of eventually this is going to come to an end. And like, fuck it. It's crazy to think that, but like with mice, like shit, dude, their lifespan's what, 2 to 3 years or something like that, or something like so quick. Like obviously their life's going to be on like fast moments in order to survive.
Well, there's that one fly. Their life cycle is 24 hours in human time. So they are, let's say you're born at 24 hours.
Yeah, that's
so they're
crazy.
born at midnight. Let's say you're born at midnight. If you knew what death was, you go, so basically you have to break it up into sections. So you're going to go from a baby to a kid within a few hours. From a kid to a teenager in a few hours. Then you can be an adult mate And then before the day is over, you're going to be like, well, I'm old and now I'm going to die.
Yeah. Dude, can you imagine just living your whole lifespan in 24 hours?
Oh, okay, now think about that. Now, this would be a trip too. Say you're okay. We're animals. Not in any kind of philosophical way. Like, okay, pretend you're an animal.
Okay.
What would you rather get eaten by? Like, I'd rather I'd rather be a mammal and either get eaten by like other mammals because they usually like a lion or a leopard would go for the jugular.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'd rip it out and you bleed to death.
Yeah.
It's usually kind of quick.
Yeah.
But like if you were an insect and you get caught in a spider and have to bite you and inject their venom or like a centipede.
And the spider's not home, so you're going to chill on that web for like...
You know, spider's gone for like the day.
Yeah, you're like,
wonder what
this
I got.
sucks.
You're going to think about the time you're going to die.
I think you would die worse as like an insect though. Wouldn't you?
As an insect?
Yeah, because an insect usually has to have venom, has to melt shit, it has to bite. Like, okay,
I don't know about biting the neck though. Biting the neck by a freaking
can you imagine me?
You know, just a line just grabbing your neck.
Yeah, but it would kind of feel like it would be kind of instant
awesome
though.
until you die, right?
It'd be not as a human being, but
well, like, what about like a wolf being eaten by a wolf? Do you feel like that's any better, or do you think that's
no.
worse?
Okay, but we're not getting eaten as a human. So okay,
I don't know. It's
God, I'm tripping myself. Okay,
go ahead.
Okay, we're in Africa. We're in Africa.
You're talking about their prey or their specific prey?
Yeah. Okay, so we're in Africa, and we're wildebeest.
Wildebeest. Okay.
So eventually, we're probably going to either get eaten by a crocodile, a lion, you know, or a pack of hyenas.
I fucking hate my life.
But do you think in the way that they kill you, it wouldn't be as scary or as painful as being an insect about to get eaten by like a centipede?
Or do we have human thoughts? Because as an animal, you don't know.
Yeah, if you have human thoughts.
Yeah, I was gonna say because if you don't have human thoughts, you don't know how scary. Because only the strong survive in the animal.
You know
kingdom.
what it just boils down to is I fucking hate insects, dude.
Dude, insects are fucked up, dude. I hate cockroaches.
Dude, insects,
but Maggie.
Well, there's a reason why they're here.
Bring this up, but Maggie hates cockroaches.
Oh no,
she hates it, dude.
You know what'd be the worst is to be a male black widow. Yeah. Think about it, your only job is to have sex with the females and die. I'd be a virgin as a
I'm gonna survive.
Hey, you want to hit this? Nah, I'm good.
No, it's just. But it's.
What about now? No. I'm good.
I'm starting to feel 99.
He's the oldest male black
I'm
woman.
ready. That'd be crazy.
I don't know. I think
that's crazy.
The way I was saying is like it would be less terrifying to be a wildebeest and get eaten by a lion than being like a lizard and having a centipede like on you, like fucking piercing you and shit.
Not for me, man. Not for me. Yeah, it's.
Well, I don't know because it's a weird scenario, so I don't know which one I feel would be worse to me.
Okay.
You know,
like what are you afraid right now?
Yeah, what are you most afraid of?
Snakes.
Snakes? Is that your thing? You just afraid of snakes?
So
because bugs generally, unless they're the really big ones, a shoe will generally end that life pretty quickly.
How are you with scorpions?
I've never seen one other than in zoos because they're around here.
That's a pretty frequent thing, right?
Yeah, here it's apparent. Yeah, I've never
The farther out we get, the more.
Well, apparently somebody gets them at their house and they live close to the airport, and they've reported seeing them quite a bit.
That apartment complex
scary.
On Eastern and right by the airport, they had a very bad scorpion problem.
But generally,
what was that?
It's an apartment complex. It's on Sunset and Eastern.
Okay.
And it's like I feel like the airport's on this side. It's like you're going to Town Square.
Oh no, yeah, it's on Sunset. I know what you're talking about. They actually look nice from the outside. But no, I there's some bugs that are just so big where you're like, wow, that's crazy. But most bugs you can end their life fairly quickly.
No, yeah, I get that.
We're like.
I hate roach.
Like if I saw a snake right now, this podcast is over.
Yeah, dude.
So
because they're not as easy to kill.
Oh no, definitely.
No, not now. If you had a gun or something and your aim was decent, you know.
Scared of snakes.
Would you rather be more? Would you rather be more afraid of being about bitten by a snake or bitten by a dog?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It depends on the dog. Because there's some dogs that will fuck you up.
Yeah,
but dogs don't scare me as much. But it also depends. If I'm crossing the street to get to the bus, and there's just some random dog just running around, I'm going to be a little more worried because if he doesn't have a collar and he maybe looks maybe he looks aggressive. Maybe I'm going to treat that dog more like, well, maybe I'm not going to cross the street right now.
Yeah.
But if it's a dog where you see a collar and he's just wagging his tail and he just got lost, that's not going to bother me. But I just treat every snake like it's going to kill me.
Yeah, because just, dude. But garden snakes are so cool.
I could care less. It's going to kill me.
I catch garden snakes. I could have sworn I caught it at what is it called? The half mile? No.
The 3 mile?
3 mile in Jackpot. I feel like.
Or the 5 mile or whatever.
Who knows? Yeah, it's like 3 miles, right? To the rest area.
Okay.
I feel like I think that's where I caught garden snakes. No, but there was a few garden snakes in like people's yards and.
Oh no, you could see. You could see it. Remember last time we went to Jackpot? Apparently Ishmael found that snake underneath it.
Oh yeah, that snake.
Yeah,
it was like.
But he backed up because I think he either bit him or it was going to bite him, and he
was it a copperhead?
No, I don't think it was rattle. I think it was either bull.
Oh no, not copper. Not a rattle.
It was either bull,
like one of those vipers, like
a viper. I don't recall vipers ever being in Jackpot.
Oh, viper's scary.
It was probably bull or probably a garter.
Yeah.
It's a big one of those big. But I mean,
but it was a small one. Had it been a rattlesnake, if it bit him, we would have been going to the yard.
But rattlesnakes generally keep.
Well, that's what the rattle is for. The rattle is basically to say, hey, I'm scared of you, and if you get in close, I'm not biting you because I want to bite you.
Yeah,
I'm biting you because now I feel threatened, and that's my only way to defend.
Which is crazy because, like, do you think they can hear it when they're slithering on the ground, like a maraca? It's like, God damn it.
Because think about it, even with us having cats here, when one of the cats bites you, it's because they're just, no, I'm done. Like, I don't want you to touch me anymore, so I'm going to bite you. Yeah, and that's kind of how rattlesnakes are, just more aggressive, obviously. Hey, because majority of the time, if you walk through the brush, a lot of animals, reptiles, they're scared and they're just going to run away anyway. But if you got them cornered or you came up too quickly, that's when they're like, okay, you need to go somewhere else. Yeah, not saying there's not aggressive animals. There is animals that they're just like, I'm aggressive, and I'm like, look at hippos. Hippos are pretty aggressive animals.
Oh yeah,
they're pretty aggressive. They're one of those animals.
That's definitely not a user.
Yeah, that's not one of those where you're like
advice, right?
Even bears, I think a bear is an animal. Yeah, could it be frightened by a human? But sometimes I feel like bears know, like, yeah, I'm bigger than you.
Yeah, dude. I think we've all seen The Revenant, right? He gets mauled by that bear.
It's not a good.
It's like I know I'm bigger than you, and I can take you. You know, where some animals like, well, I know I'm smaller, so I have to use venom.
Yeah. That's what snakes.
Yeah, it's
like. I mean, but I think those. But that's instinct. They have venom to hunt too. You know.
Well, they do, and that's probably what they use it mostly for. Is, well, I need to eat today, so I got a rat.
Yeah.
Because some don't look at like constrictors. That's their main job. Is just
constrict.
That's
evolution, isn't it? Just constrict.
Because look at anacondas. You know, I saw a documentary one time. But they were like in South America finding anacondas, and the guy's like, I've been missing a horse, and they felt the anaconda, and there was a small horse, because they're huge freaking reptiles.
And like, imagine that you're running through like brush, like because it's in the jungle, right? It's a jungle.
Yeah, jungle,
rainforest
area.
So it's pretty like
some rivers and lakes there have it.
Like your movement and stuff around that area, right? It's probably like tree. Like, what if one of those things just come up on you on accident, dude? That'd be scary, dude.
And they're pretty powerful when they're going to wrap around you.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. You know what else would be even scary to think about is the Komodo dragon.
Those things are huge.
It will bite you, and it'll just be content with biting you, and then it lets go. But it has so much bacteria living in its jaws that the bacteria travels into the body, and you start dying.
Dude,
so essentially, he'll bite into a buffalo. And then
the buffalo will run away.
They'll run away, and he'll just it follows.
Dude,
that's all it does. It's just going right behind it. And once he can tell that it's not going to get up anymore, they start. It's like 2 or 3 of them. They eat them alive, dude.
Animals, dude.
But that's just how those animals have to eat. Some people might look like, oh, look at that poor buffalo. It's like, no, that buffalo is part of a food chain, and that animal needs to eat, and it knows where it can go get the food. It has nothing to do with. Animals don't hunt for fun, normally. They have found some where they found like man, that's
some of them are
yeah, you know, it's like
right?
you're crazy. You just killed that for no reason, you know.
Like, sometimes they catch them just like kill something and they just walk away from it. It's
Yeah,
like, dude.
But I think
but it's crazy because we can't.
Majority animals they kill us for food or because of predatory. Hey, you came to me. I don't want you around me, so I'm going to kill you because you're in my space. And even then, they'd probably eat it, or the vultures would get to it, the scavengers.
Yeah.
That's just crazy, man. I don't know. I mean, but like, what's so crazy is like we think of all this of these things because like they'll attack and eat and they'll attack because they got to survive. That's just survival. But like us as humans, we go out there and just like we put it down. We could just make a sculpture out of it or whatever. You don't even have to eat it.
Yeah, because you could sell the flesh to somebody else at one scene.
Crazy, man.
Which is funny because we at one point were hunter gatherers. We were those ones that
yeah, definitely.
Hey, we're in a group. We all need to eat, so let's go out and kill something. Kill it, bring it back. Well, it's gonna get cold, so and it was at one point where we just evolved differently to where now we make processed food.
Oh yeah.
There's people that don't eat any meat, and the stuff they do get is stuff that's grown. So we've changed a lot as a species.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think thousands of years from now we're going to change even more as a species.
Dude, we're gonna be.
It's going to be.
So like right now, obviously, so like you guys remember the World's Fair back in the day?
Yeah.
New York and stuff like that. So essentially, what the World's Fair was just showing off what you believed was the future, right? Or
yeah. The world came together and said, "Hey, this is what we feel like the 1950s will be like."
I wish it was like that, guys. I wish it was, but it's not anymore. But it kind of
well,
is.
Because
social media and stuff like that.
I think
I just feel like everyone prepping up and getting ready to just pitch something for your country was kind of cool. It was just a little bit cool, or pitching from everywhere. It was just all over the place. But
I think technology moves slower then.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So
they had to meet up.
Yeah, because that's the biggest argument some people have for Tomorrowland at Disneyland is
it's just too.
When you made Tomorrowland back then, it was a while before that stuff would be outdated.
Oh yeah.
Where now a lot of people complain that Tomorrowland is kind of just Disney kind of just put it on a back burner because you couldn't create a Tomorrowland now unless you wanted to go so far in the future, but then it would just be fiction.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't know. But there was a point where they had the House of Tomorrow where it showed one day TVs will be flat. One day they'll have microwaves.
Right?
And people are like, wow, and this is what our house would look like in the 80s. And they're like, because people believe that because technology moves so slowly.
But in the 70s,
but now it's one of those where it's like, you get a phone, you get anything, it's like, all right, I got this new phone. Well, guess what? There's a new one coming out in like 6 months. And you're like, because technology moves so much more quickly now.
It's all going to lead to fucking Skynet, man.
Dude.
That's what's going to happen, man.
I'm telling you, dude. So what? So the whole thing with AI, when we talked about it last time, sorry to bring this back up, but like when we had the whole conversation with AI, one other take, just kind of the opposite track of what AI was, but which could ultimately also happen. It's almost like take a left or a right with AI, right? So the right, essentially, with the AI we talked for the most part was would they be able to like take over and then like essentially kill us as a race out and then they'd be the new race, right? Like would that ever happen? Was essentially what we talked about last one, right?
Correct.
But now I would take it the opposite way. So you guys watch WALL-E on the WALL-E the show?
I don't think I've ever seen it. It's a Disney Pixar movie,
so yeah,
right?
Essentially WALL-E is just like we meet all these robots, and most of these robots are for our beings, for us to control, essentially. So WALL-E essentially was a little robot that would clean the entire world, or clean his area, or whatever. But he was the only guy on the Earth, and he would go around and clean the world by himself. But he was always just programmed to clean. And then a lot of that stuff in WALL-E essentially is showing just all of technology bound to us. And essentially at the end, you find out that humans are on this other spaceship because Earth was no longer survivable, and they're all fat. They sit in little hover cars and they push themselves around and they go out and essentially computers are all around their face and they're just around and essentially they just eat, watch everything on their TV and they don't move. That's the reason why they got so big, right? And then do you feel like eventually AI is going to get to a point where it just takes over all of our choices for us? Essentially, we just lay back and it do everything for you.
I think there will be a point where I don't think it'll be Jetson style where you push a button and food pops out kind of thing. But I think there will be a point where, because even now compared to what we could do in the 80s, you know, was there home automation in the 80s? Of course. There's a guy I follow on YouTube, Lazy Game Reviews, and he showed a system that worked with like an old Apple II or something where you could, through phone line connected to these special devices, you could go to your computer and hit a button and it would turn that light on or off and stuff like that. So home automation's been around for a while, but you know, stuff like that's gotten better. It's gotten to the point now where you can set up to where, like the hue lights I have in my room, I can set it up to where if I turn on the GPS portion, as soon as I walk through the front door, the lights will automatically come on because they know I'm here. We've gotten to the point now where life has gotten easier because of technology. You know, in the 80s, GPS was something the military was using. You know, it was in its infancy. You know, it was, if we needed to go somewhere in the 80s, it was get your Rand McNally map out and, okay, and then, you know, you'd get a ruler and for every foot that would count as a mile or something like that, you know. And
trip, man.
And now we've gotten to the point where it's like, well, how far is this? All right, type it in. Okay, it's going to take us, and you know, so I think it will, and maybe there will become a time when technology is such a thing, it's taking our lives over so much that we're not even walking anymore. Yeah, we're born and just put in like a special device. It's like
it takes care of you, gives you massage.
Yeah, like does whatever you need, and you just drive around. You know, you just
go out. And you
like,
just. If you go to like a bowling alley, instead of you bowling, like you have a device that just press click that would bowl for you. Well, you just gotta watch. Like, can you imagine that?
Have you guys seen that? They made this like kind of prop thing of what the human body would look like to survive like a car crash.
Okay.
Where have you seen it? It's really
no.
They take. Let me see if I can find it.
What does it have to do though?
Oh, what I was gonna say, it's like, do you think that shows how the human body would have to evolve? Like, your shoulders are more like this. Your rib cage opens in a different way, so you're not going to break any ribs. Essentially, they're saying that's how the human would have to be born. Now, assuming if we all get controlled by technology, do you think we would evolve in the same way? Like we would lose our leg muscles.
No, yeah.
And then essentially
it's just
like
your
devolve.
Almost de-evolution because we work our way towards. Yeah,
if we get back to animals, isn't there animals that, you know, that had things, you know, if you're going to go on the theory that we came from an ape, like apes have tails. We don't have tails anymore, but we have a tailbone. Why? Because that was
something not a necessity.
Yeah, it's not a necessity, but we still have that tailbone because if you go back, and yes, we had a tail at one point, and that the tailbone is still remnant of that portion of when
we slowly evolved.
I could see possibly where something goes away because of the fact like the human body doesn't need it anymore.
Yeah, but in that case, that would devolve us though, because essentially we're going from a bipedal creature. We can walk on both legs. We got muscles. You know, we've evolved to that point. But if we start devolving, where our muscles in our legs start to go away,
but the humans devolving, i.e., like losing the legs. But it might be evolving other places, i.e. the mind.
Oh, okay.
Can you imagine no legs, but those people, college is no longer required because you're just like you learn things instantly, you know?
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
You know, so it depends on what you
blasted in your head.
Because to me, devolving would mean that we slowly go back to being like an ape. Okay. We're just running around and
you know what's crazy to think of like that is like, not devolving, but like our minds being more, I guess. And that would also kind of push it towards the get immersed into like a video game too. Essentially, it's like I can do anything. I just do whatever I want, and I just go into this game and I do it. You know, you go on like vacations and stuff like that, and just I don't know, it'd be crazy.
No, and I think it would be, but I don't know. I think technology now is helping our daily lives, but it hasn't gotten to the point yet where we're relying on to the point that, you know, we can still do things without needing technology.
Yeah.
You know, we did a whole podcast in the dark. We used the technology that was available that we could use without power, but we weren't at a point where like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
You know? Yes, do you feel that way sometimes? Like if the internet goes down, you know, and suddenly you're like, wow, we're kind of stuck, but maybe you're right. Maybe there'll come a time hundreds of years from now, thousands of years from now from where we're in floating chairs or something.
Okay, so I'm gonna push another way then. So like with age, like what if you couldn't die? What do you think they would be? What do you think? Like,
are you saying you couldn't die, but you would still age, or do you think you just neither would happen?
No, you still age, but I mean, as long as you just take care of the body, I mean, you'll get old and stuff like that, but you'll eventually just live on. You just hit to a certain age, and you just stay that age for the rest of your life.
Yeah, because
then that would end all religion, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it?
Because then you think if you're immortal, then there's no need to.
No, with this immortal.
Well, no, then that makes sense because
you can still die. So with this immortal, you still die essentially. Like if you get your head cut off, you're fucking dead.
Okay.
But like your body, your husk will survive.
So basically, what a lobster, because lobsters and jellyfish are practically immortal.
Well, yeah, they do.
Because they can, as long as they keep growing. I mean, obviously, lobsters gonna die sooner, but it's not for a while.
Well, yeah, because think about those worms they found in Russia, supposedly that after 40,000 years came back to life to eat,
right?
And then that makes you think like, well,
but
well, now they're more of a primitive.
Yeah, because
they're more primitive. They probably don't have a lot of
how simple their coding is, so it's not so hard.
Yes, so that might.
And there goes that. There's that whole fucking theory about are we all just a computer simulation? You just think about it, but could you imagine? Let's say they study these and they feel like, oh, if you just freeze something at the right temperature, they're not really dead. Yeah.
So can you imagine if they're like, all right, Dean, you're 50 years old. How'd you like it? We got you right at freezing. We woke you up in 1,000 years. Would you be cool with that?
I'd be cool. Isn't that the joke about what Walt Disney
said?
Yeah. He came back.
And that's pretty much a premise of Futurama is he gets frozen in time and then wakes up.
Yeah.
But I think, because I remember watching, I don't know if you ever heard of Michio Kaku. He's like a physicist. He's on TV a lot. But he's probably one of my favorite physicists. But he did a whole episode on time, like how animals don't know what time is. We know what time is. Time's technically irrelevant because we say what is 12 o'clock.
But it's not.
But is that really 12 o'clock?
Yeah,
we just put a value to that point.
It's really just to organize. I think it's really organized. That's what that fucking time is.
But scientists can't figure out why things die. They haven't figured it out. They have not figured. But they were able with, I believe, these rats before they're born to tweak their DNA enough to where instead of living 60 years, they lived 150 years. Because they can basically turn. They're like, well, this DNA kind of controls how long they live. So we tweak that enough, maybe we can make them live. The only drawback was they would age.
Yeah,
and the problem is at one point your body will age so much that
decompose. Where you essentially
you have to sit in a chair and be moved around by something because
it'd be just the mind alive.
You're gonna be like that really old lady on SpongeBob when they're selling chocolates. Remember, she's just like a stick.
Yeah.
So. But he said they don't know why people die, and they said scientists are working on a way to maybe be able
to survive long,
to be able to tweak a gene that would allow you never to die.
Which is like right now we've kind of just gotten to the point where the age that we're at is what our primitive bodies understand, right? Which is like what is like 100 is probably like what's the oldest we can ever get? There's people who've been like 105 maybe.
Well, yeah, and think about it. If you went back to the Middle Ages. 32 was super old.
That was it because
they weren't living. Yeah, like can you imagine someone lived to be 80 and they thought they were a wizard or something? Like because life expectancy of a human at that time was not very high. Yeah.
Exactly.
And now we've increased it, in smaller chunks where people are like, where people are living longer. Back to Betty White, who's almost 100 years old.
She's getting up there. See?
And maybe that's to do with, maybe it is taking care of yourself. Maybe it's one of those things. If you eat right, take care of yourself.
But there's still there's still a limit. No matter how well you take care of yourself.
And there is.
You take care of yourself to the best of your
ability. But why is there a limit?
See, and then that's why you're saying alternative genes.
Saying that maybe later down the road we'll evolve into. Because basically that's
what. Think about isn't there some
that's
better?
What we're pushing for. Essentially, what our brain is essentially telling our human cells or whatever is try to make age get older. Obviously, do you feel like there's an evolution that's going to be played there, or do you think we have to?
Well, yeah, because I think at one point someone because we figured stuff out. We figured out if you took this vaccine, you could cure polio.
No, yeah,
we figured stuff out. Like, hey, you do this. This will happen. That's better for you.
Yeah, because fucking think about it. Literally with the little rat you were talking about, that they altered genes in the rat that was born, and the fact it gave them how many years? 150. Like we're fucking with shit that's making things work. Like and things aren't too far apart from us. Sure, there's some things, but like eventually.
And humans have gotten pretty smart. And I don't know what disease it is. I'd have to look it up. But it was a disease that they just could not cure. But they realized if you gave them this other disease, it would make them sick. Yeah. And then you could cure that, and it would cure the other disease at the same time. But you couldn't cure the original disease because there was no cure for it. But if you did something else, it would cause them just to get another illness. But you could cure that other illness, and it would just cure them of both. And it's
but now, okay, say with that, during the Middle Ages, both me and Mike, we get exposed to some kind of disease. Yet I'm immune to it, and Mike isn't. Then isn't that's
evolution?
That's natural selection.
Correct. Yeah.
And then hoping that I breed that way, that whatever I have gets passed on, and then it becomes a dominant thing because the ones that aren't immune are also going to die off. But now, as soon as the advances we're making in medicine, you think a scientist, well, what have you, would come up with this. Okay, this right here is going to make everyone immune to Alzheimer's. Then you're getting rid of natural selection because you're giving it to basically anyone.
Yeah, it's a trip, man.
You could, but there's always going to be those people that won't take the medication.
Yeah, but they're going to outnumber. What I'm trying to say is we're not letting evolution pick what disease we can start getting immune from. We're actually...
Which is fine, in my opinion. That's okay, because I feel like if we left everything to natural selection,
It's weird. It's probably weird, probably off-standard, I guess not the norm, is like... You have to believe that evolution is forward. Like it's always gonna be changing.
Of course,
because,
yeah.
Like think about it.
Humans now have evolved from what they were years ago.
We've learned from history, but like now we're at a position where like we can almost attain it or at least watch it, and stuff like that. And like evolution now essentially is just what the top of the food chain's beings to survive is, and like this is where it's going. You can't really I guess you can't dispute it because like I said, evolution is ever changing, ever growing. Yeah,
because if you want to go the other spectrum and talk about creationism, basically saying a greater being came out and just created everything. Yeah. So he created fish, But if you go the evolution route, it's basically like it was a lot of water, and eventually things started to get up on land, but they couldn't walk. So eventually they learned to walk using whatever they had, and eventually it was like, well, we don't need these fins anymore. We don't need gills anymore. Because we can walk on land. And that's how evolution, it's a basic way of saying it, but eventually stuff evolved to become what we are today. And I think stuff still evolves. I think,
it's
you find out,
It's almost like evolution is almost like curiosity. You're just curious because you want to find the unknown. You're always looking for the unknown, which is, that's why I can't fight back on people, people fucking with genes and stuff like that. Dude, they're just working with the unknown and they're getting places, It's fucking crazy with curiosity because, we saw almost like a fast version of it. Like what you said with the whole evolution of being able to go from water to land, right? It's almost like people migrating. As humans, people were just like, well, I want to go west. It's the unknown. I want to figure out what's out there. I want to keep going,
And I think that's with anything. I think they said a lot of it started when everything was kind of clumped together. Africa is where a lot of things started. But even animals are curious.
Yeah, dude.
And I think at one point, as we evolved, we just got curious. I wonder what's behind that bush. Well, let's go check. Yeah. And then it got from, I wonder what's behind that river. What's behind the other, and then got, what's on the other side of that mountain?
I bet you there was points essentially when they were like, what's behind that? Let's go, what's behind that bush? And there was a lion behind that bush. And there's always a little bit of, well, maybe next time let's get behind that bush.
Imagine being like first two cavemen, and then just both of you guys are looking at a cow, and one of the cavemen goes and looks and is like, I'm gonna go suck that, and then the other guy's probably looking at him like, what the fuck are you talking about? It takes guts for the first person to find out, hey, there's milk in that cow.
It's almost like a nugget that's been thrown in someone's fucking brain.
And it wasn't until I got older that I learned that humans aren't supposed to drink milk after a certain time. And we go it's just lactose intolerance is actually a big thing in humans, just because you are to drink milk from your mom until you're weaned off, and then that's it. But someone realized, hey, cows overproduce milk. And now we don't know the evolution of cows. I'm pretty sure they probably produce milk just like humans.
Yeah,
did.
just like.
But what was happening is they were wild.
Birth.
So they birth came and they would have babies and they would just keep giving them milk and stuff like that. But now what you do is you get these cows, and people decide they were going to drink milk, and there's probably a way that they get them to keep making milk. I don't know how the dairy process works, but I have found, like when I was younger, I used to drink a lot of milk, but I found recently, like if I eat a lot of dairy products, it makes me ill, and not ill as in like I get sick, but I get diarrhea or something. My stomach gets upset because I think as a human, we're just not meant to do dairy products. That's still love me some cheese though.
That's why I always put more cereal than milk.
Yeah, yeah. Milk. Essentially, we're all there's a little bit of lactose in us, right? Like it's just not because it's not part of our whole organization.
Because at one point, the humans or the cavemen or whatever you want to call them, Homo erectus, whatever they were called. Someone has stumbled upon that you could drink the milk, but at that point they weren't using that substance for that purpose. They drank what the mom would give them, and then they drank whatever water was available. And at that point, streams weren't polluted. Yes, do you think cavemen shit and pissed in streams? Of course they probably
so
did.
So did other animals.
Yeah, and so did other animals, but it was because they were eating those other animals. It's pretty natural. Now it's in rivers. I probably wouldn't just go up to Salmon Falls Creek and go, this is because you're just asking for trouble. You're going to get sick. But
it's like that whole curiosity. I'm thirsty, man. I got to drink some water. Drink some water, guys. Yeah, that's probably not drink out of that.
and I read an article recently where they were talking about the reason you throw up from food poisoning, because that's something that cavemen did, because it was we don't know what that berry is, so you would eat it. And your body's natural reaction, it's a little slower now, but at that time it was like, well, wait a minute, that's poisonous. Blah, throw it up because you need to survive. And they also said, and to take this more of a erotic kind of topic was, people always say, well, that guy can't last long in bed, that can't last. But they said that has nothing to do with what that had to do is back in that day is
you need to be fast, man.
You have to be fast because you might be dead sometime soon. You might not be able to create babies, so you need
to. You're a fucking caveman.
Yeah,
there's a fucking bear outside.
Yeah, there's somebody.
It's raining. You're like, we ain't gonna last. Why don't you get this done?
So to create offspring, you literally had to go in, be the two pump jump, and get out because the only way you survive is to create these offspring.
It's true.
And if you don't create enough offspring, you'll never survive.
Yeah, just think about the bunnies. Like, why do they have so many, and why do they always just because they're just trying to keep them alive?
Yeah, and that's how you're gonna do it.
Trivia too about bunnies. If you were to live on just rabbit and water, you would end up starving to death.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
I've never heard it.
I heard on the Joe Rogan podcast, because a rabbit is so lean, like it's evolved to the point where it's just nothing but muscle, that there is no nutrients in you to eat that muscle.
And so what really?
So you're just eating. It would just be eating like you get the little bit of protein.
There's still predators that prey off of bunnies, right? So. Like, how do you think?
But their bodies probably evolved to be able to eat that and take whatever the nutrients they are, Or maybe it's a volume kind of thing. Like,
it's just weird how
you have to eat 400 bunnies before.
And plus, they'll also they'll break the bone and have the marrow.
Oh yeah, true.
On the inside, and the marrows.
They chill.
Yeah, because we are animals, but animals in the wild generally when they eat an animal, they eat everything. They're going to take everything from that and eat it. And all you're going to have left over is bones.
There's eyeballs and just all the crazy, nasty mucus stuff.
It's crazy to think that. But I don't know. We don't know what the future has in store for us. We don't know. Who says we couldn't evolve to something else? Who says we don't end up in just, let's say we evolved to get an extra limb. No. Maybe someone's born with an extra limb. Their parents never have it cut off. And that's part of his genes now. And I don't know.
That was almost like the whole Android culture thing, right?
Yeah.
Android was just like essentially it's like, oh well, the lung collapsed, let's put a new lung in or whatever, and it's all right. Like they're developing these things and then like make you live longer, since you're just not even yourself.
But I would think we wouldn't evolve in the like the physical sense, like our bodies. I think our bodies, the outside, the exterior, the muscles, the placement, and everything is probably as best as it could be. but maybe like internally, like say like our heart is able to pump a little bit more blood and you get a little bit more oxygen in your body. Well, that kind of stuff would evolve.
And do you think that because we as humans don't eat the greatest meals sometimes, we don't necessarily, do you think the human body will evolve to eventually allow for shitty eating? Eventually get to the point like, well, this meal put you over the top and you had a heart attack. Do you think eventually it'll be like, oh, it's going to take a lot more meals to give you a heart attack because your body's evolved to be able to digest fats better, be able to digest that kind of stuff?
I don't think so because your body's still programmed to take in the nutrients that you're supposed to have.
Yeah. But could it evolve to get nutrients from other places that it normally doesn't?
I don't think so. I think that's some of the stuff that it's already like...
Because we used to eat raw meat.
Yeah.
And now, give me some raw meat and we're going to be in that bathroom for hours. Because my body has evolved to not be able to take the nutrients from the raw meat anymore. It has to be cooked. Because at one point fire was found and people started cooking the meat instead of eating it raw.
Yeah, but essentially you're still eating... you're still getting the same nutrients even if it's cooked. I think the only thing you're missing is
because you cook away some of the nutrients you don't get from raw meat.
That is true.
Yeah, you do.
But, some of those nutrients can be bad for.
Well, they could, obviously. But I'm saying, could your body evolve to take where it's like, well, the motherfucker, all he does is drink Coke. I'm going to take what I can out of that Coke and keep this body going, which sometimes I feel like that's what my body's
doing. Tony calls himself out all the fucking Cokes he drinks, man. You're like Donald Trump. Donald Trump drinks a lot of Diet Cokes, right?
Like 16
Diet Cokes a day, man.
Because could your body eventually say, I don't know what he's doing, but, we're going to make it work.
I don't know back there, but I like it.
But no, could the body evolve to where, where we become... where it's like...
Essentially, everything's essentially just going to make life easier.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff is always just... We're always striving for something for us to do less. And that's the reason why... This is crazy. This is what our whole topic was with Wally. It's just like, do you feel like it could go to like a state where we're like, now we're just taken care of. Like, we're just to a point where like we don't need to do nothing. Like, I don't know.
But will we? I've never seen. Do they still have jobs, or is it basically?
Dude, because to me, it seems like well, in the movie, it seems like it's just like forever funland, news and stuff's in front of them, and they just sit there and like have a good time. Because it's just like it almost feels like it almost feels like a cruise. You know how cruises are?
Yeah.
Like it almost is like a cruise, but in space for people just to sit down and. Like I said, all of them are fat, so obviously they don't like. They're trying to portray like they don't move a lot.
Because to me, if something like that happened, how do you get this equipment? Do you buy it, or do we get to a point where technology does everything for us? We don't need to work anymore. But then, does money cease to exist?
So,
because at some point, if that's the case, does money cease to exist? Is it get to a point where?
Because I don't know enough about Wally. I'm sure, like, if you got into the deeps and dwells of it, you'll probably find like what their currency and stuff is. Dude, diving into stuff like that, I love that shit. If I really like certain things, like I'll dive into it and like just learn about like everything, like currency and stuff like that. And I feel like with Wally, there probably is a currency that they use, but like. Essentially, what it seems like, even like they go to the shot of the captain. You think the captain is like, oh, my brain's behind everything that happens around here. You would think like this guy's probably a pretty moving guy, because he would have the best or biggest job in this boat that they're essentially in, which was a ship, but like a spaceship. But like he was also a really big guy. Like he was also a really big guy behind a computer, just essentially typing. So essentially, they're just saying like we eventually just get to a state where like. The robot, the AI that we've developed and created is just babying us to just becoming
brings up the point, like you said, if people had money, if everyone gets this, or then that kind of sets up for like a science fiction kind of thing, because then say the people that can afford it have all this technology around them, the people who really can't afford to have bits and pieces of technology put in. So they essentially turn they systematically turn into the suppressed cyborgs.
Yeah, because can you imagine if it's still monetary? Can you imagine if it's still monetary? So he's wealthy, you're semi-wealthy, I'm poor.
Okay.
Is it where, like, you guys look down upon me, or I still live on Earth and you guys live on these ships where I'm just like digging through trash because I can't have that technology to...
I feel like was a really good one for a head AI. Actually, me and Luce talked about an AI movie earlier. Fucking AI is just... But one was essentially, was it Elysium? You guys watched Elysium?
Yeah.
So essentially, how it is just they have the people on Earth that essentially do all the hard work and bidding, and it's just crime ridden and it's just the hardest work, hard labor work, right? And then there's people that live in it's Elysium, right, in space, and it's fucking gorgeous, it's fancy, it's the craziest nice place you can live. Like if you have the wealth, they can go into machines where they lay down. It's almost like a tanning bed, and then they just find oh, there was a mole on you that's probably cancer. Let's take it out. Like health is just you sit in that thing and they would keep you alive. Do you think eventually it can go that route?
Well, yeah, because if money plays a role, there's going to be people that can't get. To the top, right? They can't have that technology. They're going to have to just live the way they are.
Eventually, just get to a point where that the money. Thanks, sir. The money is just it's just what would cause it? Too much control. The wealth.
But you could also go the other situation where eventually there is no more money. It's one of those because technology has gotten so good at. Basically, I'm saying is people would get so good at hacking and doing stuff that they could give themselves an unlimited amount of money. Where at one point it would devalue them so much that at some point something else will have to come along. Something else will have to come along to where. But then we used to have classes, is what I'm saying. Well, there's still be people that that can't get. I don't know because
money and wealth is such wealth money.
Because money, and I do believe that money can't buy you happiness.
No,
because you can be at the very top with all the money and no friends, and what do you got? Just a bunch of money, and you can't enjoy it. You can't enjoy it with anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you're gonna go out.
You can enjoy it with yourself, though.
You could, but there's a point where I think, as much as I'm a bachelor, single a lot, and sometimes it's nice to be I can do whatever I want. But then sometimes you do crave companionship where you're sitting there going, man, it'd be really nice to just, I could go out and do something with a girl, go out and do something it wouldn't be all the time, but it'd be able man, this would be cool to just have someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, yes, you can have all the money in the world and be at the top and do whatever you wanted with it, but wouldn't it be also nice to be able to have someone to do it with you?
Yeah. You know what's weird is so that's we're thinking like that right now. And with Game of Thrones, obviously Tyrion, he's always paying for the company.
Yeah, that's nothing wrong with that.
So stick, right? And it's just weird to think that, and versus it's not like that at all. But I'm sure it was at one point, right? Why is that stuff written and stuff?
Well, no, because that's the oldest profession. Is
right.
Is literally just. But like I said, I've never seen an issue with that type of work. Now, forced. That's an issue.
See, so
if someone's getting a bunch of people and forcing them to do something against, no, that's not cool. But what's wrong with just going somewhere and saying, hey, I want to have a good time, but I don't want to do the whole dating. I don't want to take someone out to eat. I'm just going to give you money. You're going to give me a good time, and I'm going to leave happy.
Yeah,
because remember, selling is legal. Sex is legal, but in some places you put that together and it's it is illegal.
Relax.
Yeah, and it's just But I'm saying, what's wrong with that?
It's weird because we live here and it's not, right? Here it's.
Well, Nevada's kind of loose.
Well, it's illegal. It's illegal in Clark and Washoe County.
Yeah, one of the populated counties.
But
you go to Elko County or.
But it's weird. It's weird to think, right?
But no,
next door, next door, California, do they have that? It's not, right?
No.
See?
No, it's because we're the last of the
the Wild West.
We're doing Wild West, right? I'm telling you, people are buying land in Nevada because it's the Wild West, because it's the only open positions, open spots, dude. Sun all the time. People are there's money in that.
But yeah, I just never saw any harm in that. Like I said, forced or being told to do something no, that's not cool in any way. But if you want to open a place and you just want to sell something known as your body and you want someone to just enjoy that, what the hell is wrong with that? Yeah. There's nothing. It's your body. You should be able to do with what you want with it, and you should be able to, sell that and be able to take that and, yes, should it be regulated? Of course. We don't. Nevada does a good job of regulating, making sure STDs are not a thing, making sure the people, the men or women or whoever it may be, are treated with respect. There's obviously, and you need to have rules in place. If it came down to where it was illegal, that it was legal everywhere, and you could be a freelancer, you could do it on your own, then it would have to be a situation where every week you have to check in with somebody to make sure that you're not out there spreading disease or something. I've never had an issue with that kind of line of work. There's nothing wrong with that because there is people that enjoy the company but don't want to deal with the dates and taking people out. They just much rather go and say, here's an amount of money.
There's people that just don't have time. It's just literally there's just people that don't have time. There's people out there in the world that that just don't.
Show me a good time. Show me a good time, and that's what I came here to do. Is just to show me a good time.
It's strange. That is a strange thing. I don't even know why. We went from evolution to that. We've been all over the place. But guys, we're at an hour and 20 minutes right now. I honestly didn't feel like we were gonna go an hour today. And look at us. We're at an hour and 20. What do you guys want to do? You guys just want to keep going, or?
Well, I think at this point, we're going to bring up a topic that's a little bit on the on the mellow side. So, as of the recording of this podcast, Senator John McCain has, at the age of 81, who was a naval bomber pilot, prisoner of war, conservative maverick, giant of the Senate, twice defeated presidential candidate, an abrasive American hero with a twinkle in his eye, passed away this evening. He did stop treatment on the brain cancer. He did get diagnosed with a year ago, and he
that's tough.
Born in 1936. He passed away today. No matter what your political views are, no matter how you feel about what's going on in the world right now, he did serve his country, may it be as a senator or as a war hero.
As a war hero.
Yeah,
he was a Vietnam prisoner, man. Trip, man.
And it's one of those things,
And he wanted after that, man, I probably just lit a fire under his ass and fucking got him to want to change, dude. Yeah, it's a trip, man. Dude.
And thoughts out to his family, and because it was so quickly, because they just announced yesterday that he was stopping his treatment. And you're like, okay, it's going to be a little while,
yeah.
And then it was just I was at work getting ready to clock out, and I was like, wow.
It's literally, you guys put out a story, which I don't want to do this again. He passed away. It's upsetting to talk about it, but it's almost a little intriguing, just a bit. Just be thinking they did post that yesterday, this treatment they were doing essentially. What do you think the treatment was that the next day would go?
Well, I think he had stopped treatment for a while.
You think? And then today they just
for a while, and they just went public because they knew
they went public, but they didn't say we stopped it then. They should have just said well, if they did stop, they should have been honest with it because what it seems like.
And do you think at some point, because you are a human being, do you think at some point you just feel hey, it's my these treatments are keeping me alive, but for how much longer? These treatments are gonna, and at some point it's just one of those things I'm 81 years old. Maybe he felt it was his time. Maybe he felt I'm going to stop the treatments. I'm surrounded by my family. And I'm going to go. And this is my time.
It almost goes to show it almost sounds because how fast it happened. It's almost I'm going to stop accepting treatment. It's almost do you think? I don't want to say it, but what if he was on the machine? We don't even know. Do you think they would announce something like that?
Oh, I don't.
Because the reason why I would question it and say I keep saying I'm sorry, but it was literally yesterday.
Yeah, someone literally came out yesterday and said you stopped treatment, and then today it was
normally with cancer like that, but it's brain cancer, so I'm not too familiar with. But normally with cancer, they start treatment.
Well, his
time is there's usually a date, maybe a month or so or stuff like that. But
his was a very aggressive form of it, though.
Yeah,
he had a very aggressive form, and that's why I'm guessing maybe he.
So when did he stop? Because obviously he was working.
No, he was still going to the Senate.
Going to the Senate and stuff like that. At what point did they feel it wasn't
and he seemed to still. I think wasn't he still doing interviews?
He was doing interviews. He missed one vote because he was sick, but then he came back and did it. I think that was a strong vote, man. That one when he came back on. Dude, and then the one that really got people. That really showed what kind of person he was. He had just finished surgery and they removed the whatever. I think so. And he came back the very next day to vote no because they wanted to repeal the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah,
and they needed that one vote, or they needed a couple votes, and he went straight up and just
It's a
thumbs
trip,
down,
right? Because like he was red. He was red for the most of his life, right?
But even
And like that vote was obviously clearly against.
And to be fair, though, McCain is probably one of the very last few moderate kind of Republican.
Right?
Well, yeah, because he was really good friends with the Bidens.
Yeah.
Because even Joe, I think Joe's daughter said that Joe could call him up anytime and they could just have a normal conversation, you know. And do you remember that interview, or it was like a town hall meeting where the lady went out and kind of said Obama's a Muslim?
Yeah.
And he was kind of like, no, he's a very good family man.
That's the video.
We just don't happen to agree on a lot of things.
That's the video that's been going around.
Yeah.
I posted that on Twitter.
Where he's kind of like, hey, we're just two different ends of the spectrum. We're both trying to be president. There's no need for that kind of behavior.
He's a family man. He's a U.S. citizen.
It's just a gentleman I happen to disagree with.
Yeah. That's all it is. Because he did.
Why is not? I'm upset. The reason why I'm upset is like that kind of civility.
No, that kind of stuff's kind of gone,
and it's going away.
Well, you know who they can blame for him not winning is fucking the person who picked Sarah Palin. Because then when people started saying, like, John McCain is an old man, and we're essentially a heart attack away from President Palin.
Yeah, and so it was crazy because, like...
she's ignorant as shit, dude. She was... Oh, God.
It was just the wrong choice, man.
Well,
it was clearly a wrong choice. They didn't vet her enough.
Yeah, and it was also, you know, I think they're maybe trying to be modern. I hate to say it's like, we're going to put a woman on the ballot, and we're going to get people to come out there and be there's a woman on the ballot. We're going to get these women voters. But put the right woman on the ballot. Had he picked some other conservative woman that was smarter?
Which crazy, because back in the day, I don't think that was really a conservative woman. Not outstandish and stuff like that, but apparently Palin was the face of it.
Yeah, she was essentially like one of the for the Tea Party, like the face of the Tea Party. But what I think...
that would have been tough, man.
Yeah.
Thinking back now, that like if he had chosen someone that would because we're not as smart as people at doing the vetting system, and we knew like, oh, this girl is.
You know what?
Ditzy,
I'm guessing what happened was the Democratic Party had Hillary running for the first female president.
Yeah,
and that's Barack Obama running the first African American. Mm-hmm. They had Bill Richardson as the governor of New Mexico. He was going to be the first Mexican Latino descent. They had all these like firsts, and the Republican Party didn't want to be left out. So they had to jump out. Let's go get the NRA version of a hot lady, someone who's very pretty but has shit for brains, you know.
There was no vetting process there. I just don't feel like they. Yeah, it was. I don't know. It would have been crazy though. If he had chosen. I was like,
had he had a different running mate, he might have gotten more votes.
But all right, so he does 8 years, right? How long ago it was Barack Obama's term, right? Or no, whose term was it when McCain was going?
It was
second term.
It was McCain first ran in '99, 2000, but he lost to George W. got the nomination for the Republican ticket, and that's when he went against Al Gore. And then in 2004,
he ran against
he couldn't win. 2004, George W.
The incumbent is always the nominee,
so he couldn't run. And then he ran again in 2008 when it was both parties needed a candidate.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would have. I saw President Obama speak in Reno, and he's
so
eloquent.
Right?
He's very.
Man, it's amazing.
And then I saw him speak, but in my head, I was thinking, well, no, I was like 80% sure I was going to vote for McCain.
Dude, that's a trip.
And then Sarah Palin was the reason I was like, no, I can't.
Someone like that, dude, can swing a vote. They can swing a vote for sure, man. And I mean, he could have the strongest back, like all the things he was going for, and it just. I hate that because, like you say, he's a moderate. He was the last moderate.
They want to name. Chuck Schumer put in the request to name a building after him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it too, like with senators and presidents, it's the way, like how the Greeks and Romans valued their, like for the Greek, like McCain, in a Greek sense would be like Themistocles. wins the Battle of Marathon. He helps pretty much essentially make Greece independent. A united Greece in the city states. And, he's remembered as being really smart. And that's McCain.
Because
he's a goddamn war hero. And
you could be a Democrat or Republican and still like McCain.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he was more of a moderate, where it was like...
not even moderate. You can just tell he was a good person.
He would listen. I don't know. Fuck, why is listening such a thing? I would want my fucking... it's just so fucked up to think have to say that, That's just how fucked up our system is right now. I just can't. A lot of it's just, it feels like a lot of it's just lying after lying after lying.
Yeah.
It's like whoever's better at lying is going to get you. That's why it's just all fucking a mess. No one's actually sitting here trying to get their brains together and like figure out what the fuck's going on and fix it.
That's why they just abolish the presidency and
more than one, right?
Have a council of 12 Jedi.
Yeah.
Make sure everything is okay.
That'd be cool, but we can't control our minds yet. Evolution, everyone.
Yeah.
Evolution. All the way back.
Well, if this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. The Drunk Weekends LV podcast produced every Saturday for your enjoyment. Come back often. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram, Drunk Weekends LV, and at facebook.com/Drunk Weekends LV. The show is also available to watch on YouTube every Saturday. And we're going to leave us on some words from John McCain.
Nice job, Tom. Nice job.
We were born to love, and we were born to have the courage for it. So be brave. The rest is easy. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.